Baby.
Do this.
Spider-Man 3. I've been doing this now for nearly 7 years, which is wild. What the? It feels like I've come such a long way from like having 2 scenes in Captain America to now leading this film, which has been amazing and a huge privilege. The audition process, it still blows my mind how crazy that whole thing was.
Oh, okay then.
I look back on it and it was definitely the most stressful time of my life because I didn't know whether my life was about to change and I wanted to be able to play this character that I'd grown up loving and admiring.
I don't think it was ever a question about who was going to be it from the first second. He was funny, self-deprecating, innocent, and he had a terrible haircut from some other movie he was doing.
What are you doing?
Tom inhabited the character in a way that I don't think any of us have ever seen before. The passion and the level of depth which he brings to this character and the commitment that he has to it has only increased over the years that we've been making these movies. And his enthusiasm and sense of protecting Peter and exploring different parts of Peter has been unbelievable.
That's what we do.
Right, all right. Who's ready to make a movie? Roll camera.
Yeah.
Watching Tom through this journey from the first movie and to now has been so rewarding.
The first movie is about Spider-Man really wanting to prove himself to Tony Stark and working so hard to do that he ends up screwing up and making things a million times worse. Like, that's just exactly how I felt on the first movie. Tom and I both felt the same. Like, where are we? What's going on? This is a crazy opportunity. Let's not screw it up.
This is insane. Look at this thing. Look.
We both grew up together. I don't feel like it was a parental role. I felt like we were all the kids.
What's interesting in the previous films is that he really has been the Spider Boy.
What about me?
What about you?
I mean, what if Mrs. Stark needs me or something, or I don't know, something big goes down?
And this film is about him becoming Spider-Man. It's about him growing up, making his own decisions, and stepping up to the plate as a full-blown Avenger. And it's been really nice to kind of have that dovetail between myself on Spider-Man Homecoming and now who I am and who Peter Parker is in Spider-Man No Way Home.
My name is Peter Parker, and I would like a coffee, please.
Tom is the most impressive actor I've seen work. He can be, on one day, the most emotional person you've ever seen.
We're okay. It's just me and you.
On the next day, he's the most happy-go-lucky guy.
Happy birthday to you, Robert.
He's up there on wires, doing all of his own stunts. So his range is incredible.
Right away, the first scene we shot together, I was just blown away by how good he was in the scene and how generous he was and vulnerable.
Tom Holland has all the pressure on him. We get to just like help him and support him as big brothers, and he's carrying it.
He really sets the tone for the day we're gonna have ahead, but also the movie. He comes on every morning in great spirits and he leads the charge. For someone at his age, to have such a commanding presence on a set is truly incredible.
He's constantly reinventing things, coming up with new ideas, brilliant physical pratfalls and stunts as well. We know he's very gymnastic and athletic, but he's really switched on.
There's a kind of poetry about the way he moves. There's a language to it, which is rather beautiful.
He's incredibly professional, and he's always giving 150%. He won't stop until a shot looks great or until the emotion of the scene works. He keeps pushing and pushing and pushing.
He will literally go until there is nothing left in his body.
Okay, you okay?
Let me try it again and see if I can get it better.
When we did the Shield fight, the last couple of takes when he was fighting Willem, when they called cut, he would just drop to the floor. He was spent. There was nothing left. And the next day, he would come to work and he would be ready to go.
Ready and action!
Let's go for the spin.
It just is so incredible to see his passion. That alone is what sets the tone for the leadership of this movie.
I think Tom's going to make a great director one day. So I'm just excited to see what Tom does next.
I just want to say a massive thank you. I know we're not done. We're only halfway through, but everyone has been amazing so far. We've been safe and been responsible and made this happen. So thank you for leading by example and making this happen. It's amazing. So,
with the villains that are in the film, having the other Spider-Mans there to support me while also finishing off their storylines, it warranted the biggest solo superhero movie that's ever been made. And to be at the front of that was such a privilege. It's also quite daunting. It's quite scary, the way that this story has been told, this accumulation of nearly 20 years worth of cinema coming together for one film. Whether or not this is the end of my Spider-Man journey, if Spider-Man swings off into the sunset now, I'd be happy and content with what I've done. But the weight of me saying goodbye to him really comes across in the film.
Oh, Holly. Thank you, sir. I appreciate it.
my pleasure. Thank you.
George Cottle is a mastermind.
And he is the best I've ever worked with.
I always feel safe, which is number one.
So we had 8 or 9 weeks of prep and rehearsal, and we put all of these fights together, and we tried to keep the tradition of what the fights and what the bad guys would normally focus on alive with that element, but also put our spin on it.
George's whole team just have such a physicality that bring our story to life.
And 3, 2, 1,
Obviously, wires play such a massive part, but the hard thing for wires with us on this is we had to put some 6, 7, even 8 characters on wires at the same time, and they all had to be very unique to their own character. We couldn't just hang Doc Ock there and hang the Green Goblin there, because it's like, no, they move very differently, and the Goblin moves around on his flyer. So we had to make sure that when we were doing wires with him, that it played uniquely to his movements and his character. And that was one of the hardest things for us, was to make sure that we had all of those components together to make sure that the character was represented correctly from the wires and from the way they put the fights together.
Told you I never want to do this ever again!
MJ, I'm so sorry, but I can't see anything with your hand in my... I'm sorry.
We have an incredible team of people who make sure that we are very safe. It's like, whenever in the world will I be able to experience this stuff?
First day we had Zendaya with us was her jumping off a bridge in New York for the opening sequence. We had a scissor lift 55 feet in the air. We had 2, 100-foot cranes above her.
Yeah, my first day of shooting was like, okay, we're gonna lift you up on a cherry picker and you're just gonna jump off. And I was like, well, this sounds familiar.
We had the camera right next to her on a high-speed winch. We had her on a decelerator. She did nearly 50 feet of free fall and 9 feet of deceleration to a mark, and absolutely perfect.
What are you doing at work today? Oh, well, I just put a harness on and jumped off this thing.
Yeah,
Stuck it.
The fight in Happy's condo, we were all very excited about, because I think our main baseline was just, we're going to destroy this condo.
They're going through buildings, they're crashing through walls.
One of my favorite sequences in the whole movie. The Green Goblin is super strong, and he can take the abuse and the violence from Spidey. So that was a really interesting and exciting avenue for us to explore.
You have Willem and Tom doing a lot of their own stunts and wanting to be part of the physical process.
We wanted to make a Spider-Man fight that was violent, that he's going through walls, Goblin's going through walls, we're going through floors, and we just wanted to make it as big as it could be, as well as really play that Willem is a demented, evil character.
Spidey isn't doing so good in the fight, and he's got Goblin against the wall, and he's just giving it all he can, and Willem is just doing this incredible reactions with his face, and then just stops and gives the goblin like the laugh, but that like cackle. And everybody on set just stopped. It kind of made your hair stand on end.
Whoa, that was so scary.
All right, guys, focus up. You feel that?
You know, when you get to a third act battle in any film, you want it to be satisfying. It's a level of emotion, I think, that will rival the level of spectacle. When you have 5+ villains, 3+ heroes, MJ, Ned, and Doctor Strange in the mix, it's very, very big, and we're having fun with the setting of the Statue of Liberty.
Spidey has, for so many years, been born, bred, raised in New York. For them to base the final battle around the Statue of Liberty was pretty incredible, really.
It's at the Statue of Liberty. I mean, there's no way practically to do that, with a set with the proper proportions. So we have to do it blue screen.
That shot where we all land on the crown is one of the hardest Spider-Man landings I've ever done, because the crown was just so uneven, and in the Spider-Man suit you can't see anything, and I was really trying to land in the most iconic Spider-Man pose.
Poor Peter. Too weak to send me home to die.
At this point, Tom has got so much hatred, and so much of the fight had to be that raw aggression and that pure anger. But, we also know that he has to hold his temper, or else that's going to be the one thing that's going to let him down. There was some really fantastic fight stuff, and Tom Holland just absolutely did a fantastic job. And Willem brought his A game. I love George, and I have never once been injured. And that's a testament to his professionalism, his skill set, and also his team. I'm always very safe.
I think when you add more practicality, you can show the audience that it's actually these people doing these stunts and all of this action. The more you can incorporate those real moments, I think it just sells it all so much more.
I'm in such awe of everyone on that stunt team and our actors and their ability to pull it off.
Just add putting your hand over his face at some point. Just this should be, if the last movie was chaos, this is chaos times 10. There always has to be a personal connection for me, something I can relate to. And I never thought of it in terms of we gotta go big, we gotta make this gigantic. To me, it was just reminding myself of what it felt like to be about to graduate high school.
John has an essential, Peter Parker-ness. John Watts is everything. This is his vision, his movie. He has complete command.
You can see his progression from Homecoming to now, in that he really is on his game right now.
Bravo! So do you make your own webs inside of your body? I feel like you're teasing me right now.
He's not teasing you, it's just that, he can't do that, so.
I was just trying to not get fired on the first one.
It was a private conversation. I don't like joking about this. It was hard for me to talk to you about.
But they were high school movies to me. So I thought if you start sophomore year, you could do sophomore year, junior year, senior year, one movie at a time for me. And now it's senior year.
John Watts just rolled up his sleeves and brought this tone that felt a little bit younger, a little bit more subversive in a comedic way. He brought this quirky sensibility.
John Watts came in and he said, I want to do it like a John Hughes movie. That was entirely his idea from the very beginning.
This is sort of his Breakfast Club. This is kind of his journey into that arena.
John has this incredible ability to relate and then show the world that kind of teenage perspective.
What was really interesting about it for me is John's sensibility of this almost high school comedy wrapped into this Marvel universe.
What I think separates his versions of Spider-Man is that it's not serious.
What I love about John Watts is the way he's able to undercut the seriousness of the films by layering in that these kids just want to go to college.
He loves bringing out the humor. He's encouraging us to improvise and to kind of throw in. When he's got the takes that he wants, he'll always say, okay, one more just for you. Do what you want to do.
Now let's have some more fun, or do whatever you want. He always gives you an opportunity to play around.
One more like that. That was amazing.
I've watched you from deep behind Norman's cowardly eyes, struggling to get everything you want while the world tried to make you choose. Gods don't have to choose. We take.
Great. Last one, Goblin's choice.
And so he's always letting us improv a few takes on different lines and finding the scene so that we could breathe some humanity and life into those moments.
Have you been listening this whole time?
Hi, Happy.
You have been listening ever since you stepped on my hose.
I didn't. Maybe it's broken.
John is amazing. Just how skilled he is with putting these movies together while not losing connection to character and what's going on and the emotionality of it. He really handles that so deftly. I really enjoyed that, and making things funny, no matter what it is, which is a lot of fun.
Ready? All right, what do you think?
Not a lot of directors have that confidence to be able to float it all up in the air and juggle it and then put it together. That's a unique quality.
So let me do like one that's really like eyes wide.
Yeah, just from the top.
Okay, let's try that.
John's really good because he's tough, he's clear, he has vision. He's a real filmmaker, but he's also loose.
And the other thing, which is really important, I think, is that he takes the work very seriously, but himself not at all.
I feel like if that's like any indication of what he is like as a director, he's just very smart and like he knows what he wants.
Not a pushover. Not afraid to say, that doesn't work. No, nah, I don't do that. I don't do this because he has it in his head.
And I think that there's been many times where I've shot something and I'm like, this looks amazing. And John's like, yep, it does, but just do it again and take a beat because I'm just going to add a line in there for Tom to say something.
He's not afraid of going deep when it's deep. He's not afraid of going crazy and weird and offbeat humor when that's called for. And he's able to like keep a light, fun set while having all the responsibility. It's just so cool.
He knows what he can and cannot do and what he should and should not do on these sets, and what's accomplishable and what's not. So he really has grown.
Yeah, that's pretty great.
I'm happy.
Let's do one more for shits and giggles.
Let's do it.
The reason why I think John's so collaborative is he takes the kind of old school Disney approach of, best idea wins. He's always open to anyone, whether it's a person working at craft service or if it's a PA.
The first day I walked in to a story room, new to the Spider-Man franchise with MCU, I'm just gonna be a fly on the wall. He turns to me and he says, what do you want to see in this movie?
And as good as John is at the big stuff and as good as he is at the action, and he's great, he's really an actor's director too.
Working with John has been great. He's always just been open to suggestions and just open to conversations. And sometimes they happen the night before, the weeks before, right before we start filming, or, second the day starts.
I like to come on set now because even days that I'm not needed here, I come on set to watch because I love learning and sitting behind John, and hopefully one day I'll be able to direct something. So, no better place to learn than right behind our very incredible director who loves to answer my questions.
He's never above just putting himself out there, being with the actors as they're trying to figure it out.
On set, we collaborate. He gives me line readings that are so good.
And then at the end, I think it looked like it's like,
So who's coming with me? Yeah.
One of the reasons I enjoy working with John Watts so much is because there's a tremendous amount of freedom within the parameters of what the day's work is.
And I think that's what has made these movies so much fun to make. These Spider-Man films wouldn't work if John wasn't that collaborative.
on the first movie, he was nervous, and now he's just like this baller director. You know how people kind of level up in a video game? That's sort of John Watts through like 3 movies.
John Watts has done such a wonderful job of creating this genre of superhero movie that kind of hasn't been told before.
It's great to just go back to Homecoming and Far From Home and figuring out any other things that we could connect, because I just want it to be a complete world where you can see things in this movie that are referencing back to things in the first movie, so that it does feel like one story that we've been telling over 3 movies. It's really nice to have a level of that like positive reinforcement of like, oh, you didn't completely f it up, you know, screw it up. Sorry. Yeah. What is this one soundbite that will actually be in this that you want me to say? And action.
Oh, what are you guys looking at?
Trips. You are a walking mess.
We have the coolest job in the world.
You should just swing me, yeah. Okay, we can take the subway.
We get to do some of the most exciting things that anyone could ever hope to do.
The impact of being a part of something so big, it really has shifted my perspective on the world. Let's catch some multiverse, man.
The fact that we all really do love each other really does come across.
We started the process for the first movie in 2016. So the fact that 4 years later, we're still doing this, it's really fun to be wrapping it all up.
I know you're supposed to do, but sometimes you just want to do the exact opposite just to see what will happen.
I've always been a fan of Spider-Man. He's always been my favorite superhero because I think at the end of the day, he is just a kid and he has to live this double life. In many ways, I can relate to that. Having started in the industry so early and really just like, I'm just a kid, you know, I'm just figuring it out as I go.
Dude, I'm so sorry. Are you okay?
But also having this other extraordinary, crazy life simultaneously. So I've always connected to Peter Parker in that way. And I think everyone can. With MJ, it's been really fun. From the first movie being this guarded, quiet, mysterious character that we know nothing about, to watching the love story begin with her and Peter at the end of Far From Home. And then now seeing how being with Peter has really opened her up. But he brings out this like hopeful, positive, more gooey side of her. And I think it's really sweet to watch how they bring out these different parts of each other and rely on each other in different ways.
Making a movie is a long process in general, so you really hope you're gonna like your castmates. Thankfully, we all do and hang out with each other outside of this.
All of us kind of grew up together. I mean, we all met when we were like 19, 20 years old, and now, you know, this year I'll be 25.
Whenever you get us back together, we always pick up where we left off. And sometimes it's a nightmare for John because we can be quite hard to control because we're just having so much fun. But that comes across on screen and it adds a level of chemistry that actors just couldn't sort of bring to life.
We have these experiences that only we are there for. Yesterday, it's me, Jacob, and Tom. We're sandwiching Tom as we're swinging from a scaffolding. That's Wednesday for us. So it's very special, and I think we're all lucky to be able to be doing it with each other because we all care so much about each other.
That was pretty cool.
I definitely think we're back there.
Yeah, we should.
I mean, it's just all happening so fast. You're gonna be famous, which means I'm gonna be sort of famous, and we're gonna be rich, and Emma will finally talk to me, and is it hot in here? I'm really hot. I was just out of drama school, and I had done nothing. And, you know, Tom and they were well in the industry at that point. I was so nervous because the people my age were already way more successful than I was. And to have them really help me get to where I am was a lot of the reason why I'm here. It's easy to just be dumbfounded by everything as Ned.
You're the Spider-Man from YouTube.
It was a lot of being young and innocent and not really knowing where or how life was gonna go. He's sort of the fan's window.
Can you spit venom?
No. He just represents everyone who would love to be a part of that world.
A gang with alien guns run by a guy with wings, yeah, they have a lair.
Badass. Having Toby and Andrew on and getting to know them was one of the highlights of my life.
I was absolutely petrified because I didn't know what it was going to be like. And I was really grateful that Zendaya and Jacob were there because they felt like my little team. They were like my hype men on the day.
It's such a full circle thing for myself to be in this moment. So, do you have a best friend too?
And action.
Yeah, people just, you know, they call me a young Tom Stark. Yeah, me?
Keys, phone. I need your car keys.
Yeah, okay, yes, sir. It's a brand new car, so maybe. Please, sir, take it. In the first film, we really just made him the stereotypical dick, for lack of a better terms. Are you really friends with Peter Parker? And it's fun to continue that now and seeing Flash actually be able to know who Spider-Man is underneath the mask is something I've never read in the comics with the character. And you can read all about our inspiring friendship in my new book, Flashpoint. 1 heart, 2 spiders, 1,000,000 memories. Backwards. I know. It fulfills a childhood dream of mine to be in one of these kind of films, to be able to not only play this part, but be in this set of movies that are so diverse and so relevant to now is extremely important to me. The fact that I was at the homecoming premiere with my 6-year-old little brother at that time, and he was able to watch this movie, seeing me on screen, Jacob Batalon on screen, seeing Zendaya on screen, made me so happy and proud of this film to know that we are still doing that 3 films in.
Tom, Zendaya, and I have been so emotional about the wrapping of this movie because we've been through so much together. And whether it was like traveling to other countries or just hanging out at our house, having them around all the time is what makes me so happy, but also incredibly sad about the movie ending.
We talk about it all the time when we're doing stunts together or we're having just such a crazy day. We're like, how cool is it that we get to share this with each other? And we have our memories documented. So it's so special. And I feel an incredible amount of gratitude for the whole experience.
In that scene at the end of the film, when I say goodbye to Zendaya and Jacob, the 3 of us were in such a raw emotional state because we all knew that we were saying goodbye to our characters as we know them. Should we pick this up? That would be wonderful, but they will never be the same again. I remember we were filming it and they were going, cut, right, we got it. And we're like, we haven't got it. You need to go again because we don't want to say goodbye. We don't want this to be over. And I look back on it now as a fond memory, but at the time, it really felt like I was saying goodbye to what might be the greatest chapter of my life. I would do anything to go back and relive that day.
Yeah.
Jacob, you trying to quietly open the door? Sorry.
Whoa. I can't believe I'm in the Sanctum Sanctorum.
Neither can I. It fills you with confidence about being him again. It makes you stand tall, makes you feel like a bit of a hero.
A lot of it is just trying to play catch up with him, because he's so bloody brilliant.
You can kind of go anywhere with it, which is what you want in these films. You want to discover what the character's like in a very different context and sort of really explore that dynamic with Spider-Man.
Doctor Strange is mostly just terribly annoyed with Peter that he's upended his life.
Don't. This is why you never have kids.
I really like the idea of It's a Wonderful Life with Peter. What could he possibly do to try and fix things? What is the 17-year-old kid's solution to this problem? You'd be like, well, I know Doctor Strange. Maybe I could ask him for help.
So, Peter, to what do I owe the pleasure?
Dr. Strange is down there on Bleecker Street in Greenwich Village.
But I think he's anything but a mentor to Peter in this movie. Peter does go to him for advice and help at a certain point, wondering if there's some way that he can put the genie back in the bottle.
He could just go ask him to fix it all. Just magically fix it all. Just turn back time or do a spell or do something so that my life can go back to normal.
You ready?
I'm ready.
And as you might imagine, it's not that easy. And things start to go wrong.
If you really think about what Peter's been through and how closely tied Strange is to all of that, it's basically Strange's idea about how to actually stop Thanos in Endgame. That directly leads to the loss of Peter's mentor right in front of his eyes. It's no stretch of the imagination for me to think that Strange would want to help him.
I'm really sorry to bother you, sir, but...
Please, safe to have the universe together. I think we're beyond you calling me sir.
Okay, Stephen.
That feels weird, but I'll allow it.
It's nice that he's able to seek solace in a friend that's Doctor Strange. It's also nice for me because Benedict has been a good friend of mine for years and years, so it's always fun sharing the screen with him. It's always interesting as well having 2 boys from London pretending to be 2 boys from New York.
Him and Parker are kind of level in the Avengers. They're 2 very important superheroes, but sort of on a more everyday level, one's mid-40s and the other one's yet to go to college. So there's a very sort of paternal or avuncular thing that kind of kicks in with Strange, which is very non-Strange territory to be in. This guy's quite a self-involved egotist, even if he is doing good for others. It's on his own terms. So this kid kind of reorientates him, and we're loving riffing off that and also just doing some really cool shit that I haven't done yet in a film. That's Strange.
Sanctum's built at the intersection of cosmic energy currents. And they shot an episode of The Equalizer here in the 80s.
The Sanctum, it could constantly change and evolve. And you open up one door one time, you open up another time, it might be different. So that gave us a lot of freedom.
And that's what Marvel does so well. The kind of scale of what they have in live action is not to be underestimated. And the quality of the set build, the paint work, the effects.
Just full credit to the set designers and all the crew that have just made it look incredible and, you know, like a bit of a winter wonderland in there.
This is a huge amount of Epsom salts. I kid you not, like barrels and sacks and tons, literally, of Epsom salts. So you would think, wow, and it just does. And even when you wet it down, it starts getting that slightly kind of crystalline, squelchy feel of snow that's thawed a little bit after a few hours sun in the morning, but it's basically really nice powder.
So, what is this place?
The Ancient Chamber was a blast to do, and we had to come up with, you know, why is it here? What's the design elements? So we have these two sets. We have a workshop, and then we have an Ancient Chamber, and we wanted a really strong contrast between those two. So the joke is when they go downstairs, they click on the light, and it's just the most boring basement you've ever seen, like the most storage room, Doctor Strange. They work through the workshop, and they come into an aperture or a threshold, and they look into a really ancient chamber, an old ruined chamber, which is where a lot of our action takes place. But that whole concept of the ancient chamber being a ruin that was here before New York was even built was kind of the idea. So we wanted to come down from the top of the sanctum, down the staircase into the workshop, and then down even deeper into the ancient chamber. And so that was a great set to design.
It's full of fun to play with this set, and it just puts you right back on your game as a character like Strange.
How did you do that?
Lots of birthday parties.
How'd you end up like that anyway?
I fell into a vat of electric eels.
You're kidding. I fell into a super collider.
Gotta be careful where you fall.
There's no loyalty amongst thieves. It's a lot of dynamite you're dealing with.
Having supervillains explain how they became supervillains to each other is hilarious. It's just so funny because it's so ridiculous.
I love the idea of putting a bunch of rogue villains together and just watching them meet each other and hang out and talk. Like, it's just, I've never really seen that. It was just thinking about what would be fun to see, visual combinations that you never thought you would see. Who are these guys? How great would it be to see Alfred Molina again? Get to see Willem Dafoe without the mask. Having Jamie get to come in and make him not blue.
You make me sick. Leave me alone. Hiding in the shadows.
Norman Osborn, Green Goblin is just like, I mean, to see him work when we're on the set in, gods don't choose, we take. And you go like, oh shit. And that cackle, I was like, oh, I mean, that's real. You know, I forgot I was in the movie. I'm sitting there with my popcorn like, this motherfucker's good.
Willem is just fearless, and Willem doesn't give a flying whatever. I'm doing this. He's just like so unself-conscious as an actor, just totally free, and that's the dream.
It's one of the most surreal experiences I've ever had in my life. When he becomes the Goblin, he is terrifying. And in the rehearsal, he starts doing the laugh and he's saying all of this different stuff about how much he hates Peter Parker. And we're doing this fight scene. And I just became like a 5-year-old kid again, watching him in the theater.
Hello, Peter.
Hi. Alfred was blown away by the advancement in technology. When he made Spider-Man 2, his arms were puppets. He had 4 or 5 guys moving him around at a time.
Alfred, you know, as Octo is just, to watch him work, he's so funny. Once they say cut, I mean, bro, the jokes and everything like that is just like nonstop.
Is that 40 with a GH or?
Yes.
Okay, got it. All right, roll it.
But when he gets into his bag, and he plays an interesting character to where you feel like he's conflicted. Like he, out of all of us, seems like, yo, I want to maybe live a regular life, go to a club or something.
What's up, Peter? How you like the new?
Jamie, he's so inventive, he's so creative. He has the crew laughing constantly. He's a great storyteller, and he's the complete character.
The sequence where he thinks that Andrew was going to be black, like, that's all just Jamie improvising. That's not written.
Oh man, I'm sorry.
I don't apologize. There's got to be a black Spider-Man somewhere out there.
And it adds so much humor and so much love and life that I would work with Jamie Foxx on anything. Honestly, I love the man so much.
Electro's waiting on something to break so he can say, oh, let me get in, let me get mine. So that sets the table for something very interesting. All of those villains in an apartment that Peter takes him to, I mean, that's like smoking a cigarette at the gas station, pumping the gas, you know? So it's an exciting thing.
Oh my God. What have you done? I liked you better before.
In this film, there's some good old-fashioned fighting. Punching, kicking, to the body stuff. I'm still not admitting that I'm too long in the tooth to do this stuff, so I still enjoy doing it. So to do this physical stuff was important to me.
He is still in incredible shape. He phoned me up prior to this movie and was like, I just want to let you know, I want to do as much as possible. And he was just a trooper. He has a pretty intense, high-energy fight scene with Tom.
It's unbelievable to see his dedication and how hard he worked to bring that same Green Goblin back that we saw in the first Spider-Man. That's just so mean and so violent.
You tried to fix me. Now, I'm gonna fix you.
I was so impressed with him and just his ability to have that kind of energy during something like that.
I got that Tony Stark shit. When they showed me the previews of what they were accomplishing, I mean, it's the spectacle, that type of thing.
He did absolutely phenomenal stuff, you know, up and around on blue screen.
Shooting those is absolutely amazing. When they put you on those strings and fly you around is great.
Catch! Alfred Molina, because he moves around on the legs so much, we had him in a harness for 90% of the time that he was working with us. I felt so bad for him. Every time he saw one of the stunt guys, he was like, oh no, have I got to get back in the harness again?
Once the tentacles are there, there's going to be all this kinetic movement and things are going to be smashing. But if you look at just me, all I'm doing is this. Yeah. I'm kind of like leaning in.
It's basically like you're hitting him in the face with your elbow.
Yeah. We were doing a huge fight scene with Tom. He's diving off things, he's doing flips, he's doing back somersaults, he's smashing into cars and then doing a roll. And I'm just kind of going, Tom.
I really take my hat off to them. And it was a very sad day when it was their last day, for sure.
There's so many great actors that have been in these movies, and to be able to bring them all together and to find a way to finish their storylines maybe in a different way. They're all sort of the victims of accidents, of technological mistakes. To use that as an entry point to telling a story about the idea of second chances, and it took a second, but eventually it all clicked.
Fasten your seatbelts.
I remember when I told friends I was going to make the original Spider-Man, a movie that I really wanted to make, and I actually competed to get the role. They were like, really? Really? You want to do that kind of movie? Because there wasn't a standard then. It was still quite early when they were adapting comic book movies. Now it's a whole different world. You know, when I heard it, I thought, wow, that's pretty nutty. But I thought, okay, they can figure out a way to bring me back. But it was really the pitch. And it sounded like a lot of fun and a good solution. I liked the idea that I was returning to something, but there's a spin on it. And that appealed to me.
For me, it's just about the money. That's all. No, oddly enough, Willem and I were kind of joshing the other day about how 20 years since his first Green Goblin, 17 years since my first time as Doc Ock, and these are the longest options that a studio has ever exercised on actors. You know, it's like we've been waiting. When the idea was first suggested, my first thought was, hang on, I'm 17 years older, I've got chins, I've got wrinkles, you know, I mean, what are they going to do? And then, of course, I suddenly realised, wait a minute, they've got the technology. This isn't going to be a problem.
And the Tom Holland of it all.
Holland, man,
here's the thing.
crazy.
Here's the thing. The young kid of him and his eyes. When we first got on the set, I said, look at this dude's eyes. And when he's, at one point, you'll see it, but he's trying to figure things out. That's what makes it amazing, because it's like he's basically torn. He wants to be cool with these guys, but at the same time, they really want to like eliminate him. And then here's the thing, it's like, because you're filling big shoes. You know, because we growing up with Toby, you know, like, man, I was like, when Toby hit that wall the first time, I said, oh shit. I was like, oh. So you think to yourself, like, will there be, you know, and here comes this young guy with this fresh face and is really like in tune in every aspect, even when he's doing anything. And that freaking hair, even that hair, the Spider-Man hair, I was like, this hair is great.
He's really impressive.
Yeah.
Also physically, he's just very agile and is really skilled. So in doing the stunt stuff and the fighting stuff, he's a freak, man. He's really clean. He's really good. Really beautiful.
And he's got a real film intelligence. Like, he understands the angles, he understands the lenses, he understands how you work with the camera to tell the story. You know, what's the best this or that. And it's so kind of, I'm talking, Willem, do you mind? And it shows a real sense of he just understands it. I predict within the next 5-6 years he's going to be directing.
Let me see your hands, please!
The main difference between that film and this one is that the tentacles are all kind of CG now. They'll all be superimposed on me at a later date. Whereas in the original movie, they were mechanical, and I had them attached to me, and we had puppeteers working them and stuff. So that's the big difference.
You want to know the truth? Nobody knows how uncomfortable those costumes are. But they look good. We are actors. You forget about the discomfort, and, it's part of it. But the costumes are much more comfortable than they were before. I remember the initial fitting to create the costume for the Green Goblin. I stood there for 8 hours, and they put different preformed pieces on me. Now, they scan me, and they can design it, and then make the costume, and then try it on me. It's a huge leap in the technology. And they're more flexible. We can do more things with them. The look's a little different. Old Norman and the Goblin are further down the line, and they have a few more tricks up their sleeve. So there have been upgrades on the costume, let's say.
I'm happy we got a brand new star, a brand new look. The blue, when we did it the first time, it was look, man, I didn't care. I was just happy to be, in this wonderful chorus, and it was like you said, it was, sort of like 2 or 3 hours or whatever like that. But with this, it's fly. The homies is like, okay, we get you now. When I was blue, they still roll with me. But like, okay, you blue. But with this one, it just feels more comfortable, and I think it feels more today, modern. Like, not trying so hard. Like I sort of related to R&B. Back in the day, in R&B, you used to have fringes on your outfit and shoulder pads and things like that. Now you can sing. So it's like now we're just singing. Who would be the best villain? It's crazy because, like I said, we've just been watching Willem. It seems personal. because with Electro, it's like Electro and us, it's to the world. The world did me wrong. But when something is personal, and you can go all the way back to Shakespeare, there's nothing that can beat that, no matter what costume you put on, no matter what you say. So when he speaks, he has the power.
They all have different qualities. But in terms of overall kind of scariness, I would go along with Jamie's assessment. It's just true. I mean, I'm sorry, Willem, you're just going to have to deal with it. But as far as where Doc Ock is in the echelon of who's more powerful, I think Doc Ock isn't exactly in the Premier League, but he's kind of nudging up. He's the guy that's arrived at the party and has kind of said something like, I've got the beers, and they let him in.
These guys are really generous. I mean, not only in their comments, but, you know, the nice thing is when you have resources and you have people that want to be there, and this isn't their first rodeo, it's a real good working situation. And flexibility, generosity are two of the qualities that you want in an actor, and these guys are like that.
I'm gonna kill the light.
Hello, my dear.
But there's a part of me that misses the mustache twirling, I must say. I mean, there's a very long tradition of British actors coming in to play villains in Hollywood. You know, it started with...
Not only British actors.
That's true, but, you know, it's like, you know, I keep thinking it's like, oh, we need an accent. You know, let's get, let's get someone in.
Son of Darrell.
That's right.
Kneel if he falls out. Had to step outside? Yeah, I get it.
But the thing about grounded villains is that so many of them become villains almost reluctantly, almost in spite of themselves. You know, an accident happens or some terrible tragedy and it transforms them. And that's what makes them very playable, because it's not just mustache twirling. It's not just kind of pulling a face and, you know, there's some real depth to it. And that's what makes them interesting. I mean, it's a privilege to be here, that's for sure. It's a joy to be here. Oh, I gotta tell you, it's just so much fun. I mean, there's a part of us that's like, I think I can say this for all, we're all fans.
Yeah.
Lonely, that was my name, until I hit this town. My loves were hand-me-downs.
It's amazing for me to be here with you two today, because I mean, I remember going to the cinema to see your first film and the second one and the third one. I remember I watched your first film. I was in Wales. I was shooting a film.
It's the perfect place to watch.
And I watched your film, and I remember saying in an interview years ago, I was like, my dream role would be to play Spider-Man, and to be here today with you two is like mind-blowing. I can't quite believe that today is finally here. So I just can't wait to get to work. It's such a perfect full circle story. I'm just honored to be a part of it, really.
When they called initially, I was like, finally. I just feel grateful. I got the call and I was really open immediately about coming to do this, not without nerves and like, well, what's that look like? And, you know, what would that experience be? But to get to show up with beautiful, talented, creative people and play together, it's just like a yes.
It does feel just like a very fortunate turn of events to get a call like that. The nerd in me, the fanboy in me, on so many levels said yes. I think one of the things that's exciting that we're exploring in this film is finding each other within ourselves and how weirdly us finding each other in this other dimension, we kind of heal things in each other and we challenge things in each other, or we represent parts of ourselves that maybe we've lost. And like that sharing a brain thing is kind of a fun thing that we get to play with.
Well, it's interesting in the rehearsal today, like you would talk about something that was something that you clearly thought about while making your movies, and you would talk about something that was clearly something you thought about, but something I had never thought about. I was like, wow, that's so interesting to think about the character in that way. So it's been an amazing process so far.
Me and Jamie have remained in touch. He forces me to MC sometimes at parties and like freestyle rap. And it always goes really well.
Please. Really well. I think we should say something.
Just to get a chance to hang out with him again and work with him again is was really cool. But, you know, of course, like, my favorite villains are Alfred Molina and Willem Dafoe's versions of Orc and Goblin. So it's like, just to be in their presence is kind of cool.
First day in, going up to the set, just saying hi to folks, and then out walks Alfred Molina, out walks Marissa Tomei, Willem Dafoe, Tom, and then Jamie. I was just like a kid in a candy store, feeling all energized and perked up and ready to play.
It's like an actor's dream. The beauty of making these films is that we're so lucky that we get to work with people like yourselves. So it just, for me, just means I get to learn from more people. I think the best way to learn is to watch. And for me to watch them the way they work is amazing. And it's a bit of a masterclass for me, so I couldn't be luckier.
I'm so excited that I get to watch how you work, and even like watching the little scene you were doing the other day with Willem. It was like, oh, that's how. Oh, it's interesting. Oh, it was like cool. So it's like a mutual kind of mentorship, menteeship, and you don't know who's the mentor and who's the mentee at different points. It's like a lovely mutual kind of learning, which I just love working with actors. So yeah, it is a dream in that regard.
From a choreography standpoint, it's interesting because Spider-Man's never fought with Spider-Man before. And I think what we want to try and explore is an element of us trying to figure each other out and figure out our each individual unique styles of how to be Spider-Man.
He is chomping at the bit. Oh my God.
Look at this guy.
I just can't, and it's been killing me because of the whole secrecy thing, because I want to go around and go like, hey, wait, we get on wires. I'm open for anything. I'm ready to go. And that's about it, to be honest with you.
We just had a little dance in the suits.
Yeah, a cuddle.
We had a cuddle, cleared the cobwebs off a little bit for me.
There's nothing
I
quite
will
like
speak for
doing a
myself.
photo shoot with two lads in Lycra.
The suit can definitely be like a challenge at times when you got to get in the full thing. But then, like, getting comfortable in it, there is something fun. Yeah, it just helps as an actor when you get in your costume, you begin to like feel it more and embody it more. And I'm still processing. It's all happening still. I'm catching up.
Yeah, this only just happened.
But objectively, you got pretty free pretty quick.
Oh, yeah.
In that suit.
That's true. Yeah.
You started to feel pretty at home.
Yeah, I did.
Started dancing pretty quickly.
I did, yeah. I
was
just,
wonderful.
I have no explanation for it. It just did it.
Instinctual.
Yeah.
It releases something.
It just did it. Yeah.
We were talking about like the idea of how cool it is to wear the Spider-Man suit, but in reality, it takes 3 people and 5 shoehorns and a lot of talcum powder and oil and like 45
Are you
minutes.
still using talcum powder?
I'm still on like
The secret
the talc.
Yeah. Go on. I'll tell you what,
No,
I'll tell you the secret later.
we'll catch
I
up.
figured it out.
Oh my God, why are you holding out on me?
It's so good.
It's very inelegant, let's say. And so like by the time you're in it, you've forgotten all of your excitement and you're just wearing Lycra. And then you see Toby and then you see Tom and then it's like, oh yeah, no, this is fantastic.
Where are you using your talcum powder?
I'm not really using talcum.
Oh, okay. Because that's how I started off.
You were actually,
was
like, talcing
talcum
it up.
powder, yeah.
Yeah.
On Civil
Did you
War,
never
I
do
was
that?
full
Never
talcum
used
powder.
talc.
Did you?
I did, yeah.
Yeah.
After a while, at first I didn't with
First I didn't.
Wham!
Then I started to do that.
Yeah, that's correct.
No, the way to get your boots on is we have these plastic bags that I put over my feet.
Slippery.
And then they slide right in. But the only thing is you get mad sweaty feet.
Tell me more about that.
So it's not nice when you take your shoes off at the end of the day, but that is the way I've been doing it. I've only figured it out on this movie.
Wow.
But it's changed the game.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah.
When I get in a room with John and our producers and they're talking, we're gonna have Toby and his Spider-Man, and we're gonna have Andrew and his Spider-Man's gonna be there. I was like, no way.
All right, let's do this. I think I can repair Dylan and Marco, but the others,
The idea that they are all the same thing and they could all come together and sort of help each other, that to me felt like it was part of the DNA of the story that we were already trying to tell. And that gave me an entry point to actually get them together so that it was a story element and an emotional thing.
You're okay. I got you. I gotta go.
Yeah, I got it.
You okay?
They grow and they change and they evolve from different writers to different artists. And in the case of the films, different actors. That's why the Marvel characters have persevered so long through the decades. And then you have the fun of starting to pitch it to the actors and doing something that is worthy of their time and of their energy and stepping back into this role. I had butterflies in those meetings with Tobey and Andrew, hoping that they would sign up.
This is Peter Parker, Spider-Man. There are other me's from another dimension. This is the wizard that I was telling you about.
We're all very secretive with our films, but on this one, it's been challenging because we have people that we are trying to keep secret. It's extremely hard to tell some of these actors, hey, don't go to the grocery store. We have 6 people that we've been trying to keep secret. Whenever Tobey Maguire was traveling from base camp to set, we put this huge cloak on him. He looks like the Emperor from Star Wars. I say cloaking is no joke. We cloak them up. The minute they step out of their trailer, they're on set, they could take it off. We had a situation where one of our actors got hurt and had to go to the doctor. He gets there, and lo and behold, the doctor got a selfie with him. And so we had to track that doctor down. No.
Tom, Zendaya, Jacob, and John. It was like me and Tobey arrived and all of their arms were just kind of open in a way that felt respectful, really caring, really loving, and gave us a lot of freedom to create what we wanted to create.
Crawl around.
Crawl around?
Do it.
There was just such a kind of open-hearted coming together and embracing of each other and supporting each other. It was really beautiful.
So we all share something that no one else really understands. And I think for the 3 of us, it was so nice to be able to share that with someone.
I can still hear her voice in my head. She told me that with great power comes great responsibility.
I knew that whatever happened, it would be really interesting to see these 3 guys together. Even if it was a total failure, it would at least be an amazing document of a very strange thing that happened.
What?
3 U's.
So hopefully it's not a huge failure. This is great for the EPK.
It's all about a different aspect of playing that iconic character that people love, but they love all sorts of different ideas about that character, and I think that's what all 3 of these actors have been able to do.
To see Tobey and Andrew and Tom form this bond and friendship, it was incredibly moving.
I feel like I need to introduce these guys to Strange.
Who is this guy?
Where's the box? The box is down there. I had to leave it down there because Electro electrocuted us. That's what John Watts told me to say.
I can't deny there was always something in the back of my head of like, gosh, it ended a bit abruptly for me. I heard the idea and I was like, I want to see that. I want to see that on screen. And it resulted in this very, very beautiful experience where I got to have a bit more closure on something that means so much to me.
It ties back into the big themes of the movie about getting a second chance. It really happened for him in this movie.
Are you okay?
It was important to make sure that these characters weren't coming back for the gimmick of having 3 Spider-Mans in one film. They had to come back and have a purpose. Their purpose is to help my Peter Parker not make the same mistakes they did.
Working with Andrew and Tom was really dear to me. It really was special.
Well, I got Connors. I already cured him once, so no big deal. Come on, it's no big deal.
Yeah, you're a lap stud.
Thank you.
I think I can...
I think that I can
they can do that.
It's fun to look at all of the movies and see what their moves are, because they all have their sort of signature poses and their signature moves. Why does that look like Toby? Beyond just the suit, like what is the physicality that identifies him? What is the physicality that makes, Andrew, what makes Tom Tom?
Each actor plays Peter differently, as you would hope.
To choreograph the action, when you have three guys who look pretty identical swinging around, it's gonna be hard to keep track of them.
Okay, Peter 1, Peter 2. Peter 2. Peter 3. Peter 3.
All right, 3, 2, 1, boom!
Toby, he's definitely older, but still wiser, so he has very good ideas. He was the planner of the team.
Gotta cure all of them, right?
Andrew had more of that dark side. He's a lot more agile, acrobatic.
Hey there,
Tom Holland, we really wanted to portray all the hardships that he's seen and all the battle that he's encountered in Endgame and Infinity War, and really make it very visceral and a little darker than you've seen in past Spider-Man movies.
They're all so good. To have those three brilliant guys together, having fun, it was a dream.
The last night we were filming, there were definitely a lot of tears shed.
I just burst into tears because it was like your whole life. I feel like they were my three sons through different periods of my life.
All right, 1, 2, 3.
I love them both very much. And to work with them and to see them in their suits and to laugh and joke and swap stories about their experiences and my experiences is honestly the highlight of my career.
All right, I gotta go find Ned and MJ there.
Go.
I guess I'll see you.
Get out of here.
I'll see you later.
All right. You know where to find us.